Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lo-Fi Lounge. Thank you for joining me. If you don't know, my name is TAETRO. So happy to have you all here today. Welcome. It's another Thursday. We're usually live every single Thursday, either making music, checking out some new plugins, some new software, even some new hardware like we are doing today. It may not look like much at the moment. Well, it actually does look like much at the moment. Beautifully designed board here that is connected to my computer. You might say, well, what the heck is that? Well, if I do something like this, what might it be? It is, of course, the Joué Play MIDI Controller with multiple, what do I call these? Overlays. Multiple overlays. Let's switch the instrument on that one. Now we've got the keyboard overlay on. Now I've got this MPE pad loaded up. So if you notice, as my finger glides up the pad, that sound is changing. And we've got multiple overlays we're going to be checking out today. There's also an app that goes with this, an app that can work both on your computer and on your phone or tablet. It's a scale pad overlay. So welcome everybody, that's what we're digging into today, the Joué Play. We're going to check out a few different aspects of it. I know a few of you, I've seen you already in chat and in some other comments saying you really want to get your hands on one. And actually, well, first of all, I gotta say, today we are sponsored by Joué. Thank you to Joué for sponsoring today's stream. Thank you. Very happy to have them as a sponsor. It's been years since I checked out the original version of this controller. And now I'm happy to get my hands on this updated version, which to me does have a very beautiful design. But I do want to point out, we've got a link in the description to go to the site and check out. Let me show you it here. You will be able to see that there is a big sale going on, a save $50 sale, which is kind of like the most affordable price point they've had yet, where you can get yourself the playboard plus an overlay of your choice for $145, which is a pretty good deal, I think, considering the type of instrument this is, considering that it's got an app to go along with it, considering that there's MPE capabilities, all of the above. Now, of course, you saw me playing the water colorway, but just know that it also comes in a fire colorway. We're going to get into a bunch of things today. If you have questions about it, you can let me know in chat as we go. But I'm happy to be making some music today with the Joué Play. Thank you to Joué for sponsoring today's video. And before we really get rolling here, I want to ask, how's everybody doing? Let's roll some tunes in the background to jam to. And how are you all? What is going on? Atomic VR says, hey TAETRO, nice to see you again. I just want to say a huge thank you. I've been getting into producing lo-fi and it's amazing. It's all because of you. Hey, shout out to you, Atomic VR. I'm glad you're taking those steps and learning how to make music, and I'm glad the videos are helpful. Manuel in Tijuana, Mexico. What is the weather over there in Tijuana? Is it hot? It's got to be so hot. Robin, I'm glad you are good. I'm good as well. Of course, happy to be here, making music, trying out new gear. You know, every day in the Lo-Fi Lounge, it seems, there's new gear coming through. There's a new exciting email about something cool happening, or there's some fun music happening. I wonder if you all watched this week's video by chance. Did you watch this week's video where I am talking about my DAWless setup, or my computerless setup. Let me know if you watched that. I had a lot of fun making that video. Dustin said, doing well, debating trading old gear for a Boss DD8 or RC1 looper. Interesting. I guess it would depend on what the old gear is, but I've always been tempted on the looper pedals as well. The Boss looping stuff, I always tell myself, well, I could just accomplish this with Ableton Live plus a controller, but then I'm like, but what if I didn't want to use Ableton Live in a looping circumstance? Just a thought. There's also apps too, like Loopy Pro and stuff like that. Jesse, what's good? How is it? We're gonna see how it is. Josh P says, I did watch the video. It was pretty cool. I would 100% have a DAW-less setup if it wasn't a lot of money. Well, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. You don't have to create that exact same setup that I was showing. Actually, this background music that I have playing, I always play this kind of video compilation as the background music, but you just talked about DAW-less setup. This performance in particular, come on, cut back, is a DAW-less performance. It's Circuit Tracks, which is a very affordable groove box, plus Lemon Drop, which is slightly more expensive, but like it's kind of a powerful little granular synth. But that right there is a very powerful DAW-less setup. And there was somebody else in the comments around that in the video talking about setting up their own thing. I think the circuits are a good hub. Less expensive hub. Not as powerful as Push, of course. And a lot of people also talked about using iPads, which we're going to check out an iPad app today, the Joué one. Atomic VR says, yes, the setup is awesome and the headphones look awesome. Those headphones are awesome. I'm looking at them right there. I keep them over there. And I've also just been doing a lot of Bluetooth listening on them as well. They are very freeing. I've had them for a while, but they reached out and they're like, oh, we want you to do a video now that you've had them for a long time. And I thought, well, this is perfect because I just set up this setup over here and I'm jamming with those wireless headphones. Arj, you should not be concerned with what MIDI controllers I'm using. I do not have a normal circumstance where I am dedicating myself and have a budget limited to a single MIDI controller. In fact, I receive all these MIDI controllers for free, including the one we're covering today. So you should not be comparing what I'm using and have any thoughts about what it means about what you should be using. You should go with the one that you want the most. I can give you all the information about all the controllers, but you shouldn't be comparing your experience to my experience. They're not comparable. Dustin said, great video. I went the MPC route and have a similar setup. I appreciate the routings you explained. Yeah, the MPC is another good brain of the operation there too. I really don't gel with the MPC workflow, unfortunately, though. Just Josh says, I've had the circuit on my radar for a while now. Yeah, I mean, as a starting place for a standalone Groovebox type device, Circuit Tracks is the #1 thing I would recommend for people, especially if you're just starting out and you don't know much. Robin asks, did you test out the M Audio Oxygen Pro Mini? It's very nice. No, I should try it though. Sanjay recommended it. Stefan, what's good? Nice to see you. It's Snow is here as well. Hello. And TJ, what's up? Thank you for your honesty. You've always been open and clear. Respect. Hey, Omar, that's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to give all the information out there. And the reality is we're talking about a MIDI controller today, right? And I'm going to show you all the cool things about this MIDI controller. But you'll see things and you're like, oh, I could do this with that MIDI controller, or I could do that same thing with this other MIDI controller. And that's all totally fine. There's overlap between all of them, and sometimes it just comes down to what compels you and what pulls you in. And you should just go with whatever compels you, whatever pulls you in. You shouldn't be looking at, oh, this person used this, so I'm going to use this. Unless there's a clear functional reason, or unless that is just straight up calling to you. Arj, yes, you should start that's the most important thing that I want to hear from you. You said, I will start my journey. That's perfect. Doesn't matter what you pick. Start your journey. Yo, Eternal Dark remains. What's good? Where's my water? So speaking of starting our journey, what do you say we take a look at this Joué Play? First of all, does anybody have any burning questions? Like when you first saw the controller, anything that we should get into or I should make sure that I cover today? Please let me know. Stefan says you got all kinds of technology. It's true. Somebody pointed out, and we'll get into the Joué Play right now. And let me see if the Duncan cam is working. It is not, unfortunately. I can try to fix it, but for some reason, every time I open and close OBS, I have to kind of reset this camera. I don't think that's going to work. No. We'll see if we can get it reset before the stream finishes. But he's sleeping right there. I was going to say, somebody pointed out in one of the photos that I took with the Joué Play to promote the stream, they were like, none of it makes sense. You have all these keyboards, and then I had like these two like game emulators right here as well. It's like none of it makes sense. Everything is redundant. There's too many things. It's like, yeah, that's what being obsessive over things is like. And you will also notice, folks, that if you type my, oh, maybe you don't see this, but if you type my name in your message, you don't even have to put the @ symbol. It highlights it orange for me. So if you have a really good question, you want to make sure I see it, put my name in the message. Have you tried the Roland Aria Compact S1? I have not tried it. I actually don't even know what it is. I'd probably recognize it if I saw it. Wired only or Bluetooth MIDI available? It is wired only. It would be great if one day they could release a Bluetooth version though. This box looks like a geometry box. Steel Sound says, I was sad to miss Monday's stream. Well, luckily you're a member, so you can go back and watch it from the top. We missed you. Hello, Aquatic Borealis. Hello, Carlos Santana. What's up? Have you heard about the Mock Live Mini? No. All right, let's get into talking about the Joué Play from a French company. So what do we have here? We have this basic, the board, right? Which to me, I love beautiful design. We have plenty of plastic MIDI controllers, you know, that fit a similar mold. This one, obviously, much more a unique design. Straight up a wooden board. And it's pretty slim. I wonder if you can tell by looking at it like that. It's pretty slim. And if I put my iPhone 13 Pro Max next to it, you can maybe get a feel for the length. It's about two and a little more iPhone 13s. It's a little thicker than an iPhone. But I really like the form. A form factor like this is really easy to slide in a bag, obviously. But this controller has many different overlays. Let's take a look at them. That's the, I want to make sure I get the names right, so let me pull them up in front of me. They have the keys, the piano. This is the drums, I assume, right? Yeah, the drums. Then we have the guitar, which is pretty unique. Then we have the audio pad, which is fairly new, which works with their app. So we have all these different overlays. And how it ends up working is whichever overlay we lay onto the playboard, that overlay takes over. All Duncan's little hairs are sticking to these as well. But it just knows right away. It's kind of flashed to the device, and I believe it works with some kind of fancy technology built into these little silicone overlays. You might be able to see a little circle there. It just recognizes it right away. And one thing we'll get into later is programming these with the Pro app, which is another aspect of these controllers. But you can actually edit these. You can edit sort of the things like aftertouch and the MPE capability and flash it to that particular overlay so those settings remain. Because, of course, this is the for instance, this is like the keys overlay, right? So this is set to be in scale or in key. That's a major pentatonic scale, right? You want to be able to go in and edit that. We can do that later in the Pro app. Chat, I need you in front of me. You're way over there. So that's pretty cool. Right now I'm just playing some sounds in Ableton Live. But before we play some sounds in Ableton Live, let's attempt to open up the app. I say attempt because I want to make sure all the streaming stuff works. But I'm going to unplug this from my computer for a moment. And all this, like this kit and everything, like I said, they have the sale where you can get a single pad plus the board for $145, which is like fairly affordable for this style controller. But this kind of what we're looking at here, this giant bundle, is the all-in-one pack, the Joué Play full pack. So you could go for a pack or you could go for a single and then buy the individual pads. Link is in the description. What do you say we take a look at the app for a moment? Now I've got my iPad here. And I'm going to go ahead and connect with a USB-C cable my iPad. And then I'm going to hopefully mirror this to my screen so I can share sound. But this is a nice little portable setup. I could have also used my phone. You can see the green light on the side is lit, or hopefully you can see that. If we open up the Joué Play app, I was just experimenting with sending some stems over. Right before the stream. Josh P. Yes, they do sell individual pads as well. So we are connected. What do you say we start a new project? Now right away, since I already have this keys set up here, it's there. But let me try to do this in a fancy way. I think this is possible. Let me try to screen mirror to my MacBook Pro. This is a miracle that this works. Check this out, chat. Suddenly you're seeing my iPad screen and you're hearing the sound. That's insane. Great. Now, I want to do this. Here we go. Okay, so you're seeing the app screen. The problem with this is I can't see chat. So chat, behave yourselves for a moment. So the cool thing, I'm going to do a quick demo so I can get back to looking at chat. Chat, I see you. Not really though, so everybody behave themselves. So right away it recognized what overlay I had, right? So watch me change the overlay. And it went from having us on that marimba instrument to adding a Rhodes instrument. So it's essentially adding a track for each overlay that we add. Now in these, we can change the sound of these. But you get it, right? So each overlay that we add, we can add a different sound. Let me go ahead and record something because we can also record simple demos into this app as well. Let's set a tempo. Turn the metronome on. Let's get a slower tempo going. Sure, let's say 79. Why not? Let's hit play so I can hear the time. All right. Let's just record 2, 3, 4. Didn't like that. Let's go ahead and play it again. Let's clear that. One more time. more time. 2, 3, 4. So now we've got a little loop going there. Swap this pad out. Let's throw the drums pad on here now. It's automatically switched us to a new track. Let's go to lo-fi. Oh, that has some sub in there. Let's record on top of that. 3, 4. That's not what time it is. Undo. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that was pretty messy, but I'm trying to breeze through this so I can get the chat back on my screen. So there we go. We've got 2 loops going. Now these are all associated with, and if I go back, I can see all the different parts I have, right? I can see the drums, I can see the keys, I can see this track, which we didn't actually use. That was just the first overlay I had. You can see that is labeled part 1 at the top. I can hit the add button and create a part 2. So you can go ahead and start building a song with this app as well. But let me do one more pad in particular to show off here before we move over to the DAW. And that pad is the audio pad, because this is fairly new, and that's upside down, and fairly interesting. So what you see on the overlay is some performance effects, I guess you could say. They don't have to necessarily be performance effects, because we can record any audio into this. But in a way, they're like performance effects and audio effects, and we can record audio into the app. Oh, and I do want to show off the drum sampling before we move on too quick as well. So hold that thought. But let me go ahead and try to record something. A little bit of this. Let me go ahead and record this into a new part. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we have a little bit of audio. That's strictly recorded with the iPad mic at the moment. And we have these different effects. That we can use to edit the audio. So you can see that you can have fun with sampling. I don't think the harmonizer is going to work too well there. All right, that's just to kind of show off what this pad actually does. I want to jump back. No, let me get rid of this pad and throw the drum pad back on here really quick. And then chat, I'm coming back to you in no time. Let me go to the sounds. We want to go now to user. We're going to make a custom kit. Right, custom kit. Oh, which I already kind of started. Let me go here. Oh, I guess I have to make a new custom kit. That name's already taken. Custom A. Okay. I'm making a new custom kit. So you see here that we can now touch any pad, and all right, here's my AirPods. Let's make a little percussion note out of this. Right away there we have that, but we also have the X and Y pad, which will do pitch and volume. We can also do start and end points. And I've got this little camcorder here. Let's do another pad. So suddenly I have all these little effects. That's just a little silly demo there for you, but hopefully you can get an understanding of this. And don't forget that, I don't know why I'm erasing that. I was going to say, don't forget that we can, I'm just going to get rid of all this. I want to get out of this screen. I forget the gesture for getting back to my full project. Go out of here. There we go. Don't forget that we have all these individual parts, and we're obviously working within a project. So if I go back to part 1, we replaced the old drum kit. I'm going to go, you can look at settings, you can change the BPM, you can go to play only mode instead of recording, and you can go to your audio settings where you can set up different inputs and outputs for the audio if you have an external audio device. I'm going to go back here. That's our full project. And then back out to the main screen. Let's save this project as ABC for the moment. So now we have project ABC, and this is the last thing I'll show you in the app here. There's other cool stuff in the app like lessons and songs to play along with, but we don't need that. There's share, which you can see the sharing options you have within the app now. You can share MIDI clips, you can share the stems, and you can share the audio mix or the Joué project, so you can open it up on the app on the computer. So that's the deal with the app there. I think that's a pretty cool, thing for, like, if you pick up this controller, there's a dedicated app that is pretty capable. I think a lot of apps can go like very, very deep. A lot of apps can be super, super complicated. But this app is very simple. It gives you simple ability to record and loop and create different parts for the song, which I think is very important. But then the ability to export that over to your DAW and start working on it, because I don't think they're expecting anybody to create a full finished song here in the Joué app. You could get very close. I think you could make very decent demos within the app, all in a portable, compact thing. I mean, this kit together, throwing this in a bag, is very easy and very different than carrying around a laptop or even some of the bigger MIDI controllers. So you can make your demos here, then go over to your computer and make some cool stuff. And the overlays make it fun too. Okay, so that's just a quick demo of the app. Chat, I can see you again. I couldn't see you that whole time. So if you had questions during that app segment, please let me know if I missed them. My water, where's my water? Feel sounds. I was so into the OP1, and I think this might have just flown into first place. Well, what's crazy is this is quite a bit less expensive than the OP1, but gives you the same portability. And anybody who has used an OP1 knows how different the recording style is, right? It's got a tape recording style built in. This, with the app, is a lot closer to what you get from a DAW, and you have a lot more control over all the different tracks and all the different parts. Dustin says the guitar overlay, yes, we'll get to that. It's probably my least comfortable overlay, so I've been avoiding it. Nasif, what's good? Thank you for being so kind. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. It's Snow. Just ask your question. You come to the streams and you say, "Can I ask a question?" Where if you just ask the question, I will decide to answer it or not. Feel free to type my name in the question. Yo, what's up, Billboard Shot? Nice to see you. That's a small water jug. Gotta get a bigger one. Well, I hadn't finished my coffee before the stream, so I couldn't put the water in my cup. So I just grabbed this out of the fridge. All right, that was very simply the app. I think most people, if you're just starting out, you might use this controller alongside the app. I think it's a great resource, especially with the ability to export MIDI and audio stems. But let's plug this back into the computer and let's talk about a few things like maybe MPE related. So, Dustin, I hear you. I'm going to do the guitar overlay, but just give me a little moment to do this one here. Boom. All right, so we're back plugged into the computer. I'm going to move chat over here. I'm going to bring up Ableton Live. And Ableton Live, as you all probably know, currently has some great MPE capabilities where in the past it had not. So I have now a sound called the Lo-Fi Reso Pad, which is a sound from the Drift synth. Drift is an MPE compatible synth, and I'm using it here because I just want to show you something. I want to show you the MPE capabilities of this controller. Now, MPE control, we can shift the sound based on how hard we hit a note, based on the pressure we apply after we hit the note, applying more pressure, relieving pressure. We can slide, which means sliding up the note, and we can also bend notes. So if you look at the MPE control here on the Lo-Fi Reso Pad, I'm looking at the slide parameter. Now, since my finger is pretty much staying in one spot, this blue bubble isn't really moving. It's shifting with my normal kind of human unsteadiness. But as I slide up the key, you'll see that change. And you can see that that is correlating to pitch modulation. You can hear it too. And what you'll also notice is that those individual notes, if I slide my right hand up, the note in the left doesn't move. They move independently. That's just slide, of course. We can look at pressure as well, which is harder for you to see on my hands, but you'll see it again right here. You'll see the pressure going up as I apply more pressure and we'll release the pressure. So that's a lot of fun. Now, editing those MIDI, those MPE capabilities is done within the Joué Pro app. Because I also have the Joué Play app, which is what we just looked at on the iPad, but on the computer. So here, if we look at the overlay, you're going to see all the settings that I have here. I have MPE turned on. I've actually turned off glissando and vibrato. Because this is a keyboard instrument that is nearly a flat overlay. It's not quite flat. You can feel grooves between each key. But since I can so easily slide my finger across, and you're hearing all those notes play, I find it more difficult to not accidentally do some pitch bending. So for this particular instrument where I want to be sliding and applying pressure, I don't want to necessarily be worried about the pitch, so I had those turned off in this moment. You can edit all of this. You can edit the starting notes, the velocity sensitivity, and then you can flash this to the device. Meaning, and this will make more sense if I show a different overlay, which you'll notice you won't notice because you can't see at the moment. You'll notice that as I remove the overlay, it's obviously recognizing that, and I'll add a new overlay. It's recognizing the new overlay. Now remember how I talked about this keys overlay is in key. Well, depending on what type of song you're playing, or what key the song you're playing is, you might want a different scale. You might instead want to be in D, and you might instead want to be in a minor pentatonic, or a number of these other scales. Well, now that we've reset that, let's go ahead and drop that onto the Joué. This will take a moment to come back up. And I do find that when I switch the modes, I have to arm and rearm it. Only when I flash a new mode to it. Now we're in D minor pentatonic. And that will now apply anytime I take off this device. Even if I unplug the controller, replug it in, open up a new project. If I'm playing on keys, remember, this is the note D. If I throw this overlay back on, it's going to recall all those settings. And that includes any of the MPE settings that I might have changed, any of the sensitivity settings, etc. That basically gets flashed to the device, so it will always remember to recall those. Does that make sense? Seal Sound says, is it silicone? I think yes. I don't know the exact material, but that's what it feels like. You can see it flopping around here. Okay, Dustin really wants me to embarrass myself with this guitar overlay, which of course we can do. I want to talk about MIDI channels in a moment too, but let me do this first. Let's find a guitar instrument. Let's stay in drift for now. This is what I love about Ableton, is they make a category called guitar and plucked, and not a single sound. Sorry, not a single sound. Sounds like a guitar. Just an observation. Zonk. No, go over here. So this overlay, unless you are a guitar player, is going to be very confusing. And I would say, even if you are a guitar player, it can be very confusing. So here we have the open strings of the guitar. So if you know guitar shapes, if you know chord shapes, and you can navigate yourself around this, which is kind of weird to wrap my brain around because I do play guitar. I just have to sort of like imagine I'm holding it like this or something. A lap harp, says Seal Sounds. Yes. It's a really unique style of playing, and I think any kind of unique style of playing will help you break certain habits. Don't forget also that we can get the pitch bend, and that can also be edited further into the Pro app. Dustin says, I love it. The thing about playing on different interfaces that maybe you're not even so comfortable with or you're not so familiar with is that when we play on a surface like a piano, we already established like certain habits and certain tendencies. I'll put the piano thing on and I'll play certain voicings out of habit. This one I have no habits, so now I'm getting lost in sort of playing this. You know, let me grab a hand-panned instrument actually, because the way I'm playing this is almost reminding me of and that of course is not in my user library. That's not going to be it either. I know I have a sample instrument, but you all know how Live likes to just erase the user library every so often. User library, no, just gone. Maybe some slides are okay with pre-config. Yeah, there's, like I said, we could go to the Pro app and like dial this in. You can actually even turn bending on and off, which I might opt for in certain circumstances. So in this app, this is the default setting. I can go make a copy of that instead of overwriting the original setting. But there's also fretless. Let's turn off fretless and see what effect this has. We can turn vibrato on. Let's try that. Maybe let's try the full velocity spectrum. Tuning is guitar. That's interesting. I wonder if they'll add more in the future. We don't really need MPE at this moment, but it could be something you might be interested in adding. What's up, Miss Nadia? Nice to see you. And I think that's all we need to add for this. So let's flash that again. Same style as before. So now so the main difference between fretless will probably be that you hear that click between each fret, like it reattacks instead of bending. If it was a fretless guitar, we wouldn't have that. All right, let me try to find, I think this instrument's not gonna load. Oh, it is gonna load. Instrument is this? Let's see. It's not a sampled instrument, unfortunately. Let me go to my instruments anyway. Just trying to find a decent sound to play with this. Oh, that's a fake sound that I added. cool. Yeah, Seal Sounds, it could be that. That actually could be that same guitar sound. So, okay, Dustin, you've sort of like you've taken some of my fear away from the guitar overlay here. Definitely an interesting overlay. I wouldn't want it to be my main overlay just because I'm more comfortable on keys, but maybe if you are a guitar player and you liked that play style that you just saw, you would like this overlay to be like a main overlay. What questions do we have, chat? What questions do we have? Do not forget that they have like the big sale running right now where you can get a single overlay plus the board for $145. I think that's an amazing deal for an MPE style controller. The slide instrument from the case looks really tiny and sensible. I don't know what that question is. Polyphonics, yes, Mikkel, we already talked about that with MPE there, if that's what you mean. We have like the notes being independent. Look at slide, for instance. Yes, the RG35XX. Don't forget about the flip. Eric says, I need help to get in the Discord. Luckily, if you type in !Discord, the article will pop up. All right, I could play that all day. Here's an interesting thing. Let me drink some water first, chat. Let me drink some water. There's an interesting thing for performance with the Joué Play. I want to talk about this. So, remember how we had set up the app here? Let's kind of undo everything we just did. Let me go back to this and let's flash the just normal piano setting to this. If you look at this, it doesn't have MPE. We're going to use a non-MPE mode for this that I'm about to show. You can see that it's sending on channel 12. So let's go ahead and go back over to Ableton and let's go to our piano. So now you can see that this will only receive MIDI from channel 12. And since there's no sustain input on that, let's trigger the sustain in this plugin. There's a link in the description. Yes, Seal Sounds, if I can't count on you to know that there's a link in the description, I don't know who's going to be able to find it. Okay, that's the piano overlay. We've got that one set up. Moving on, let's go back over to the keys overlay. And back over to the app. That's my web browser. Here's the app. Keys. Let's just drop that default one on there. We're going to have to change that. I just realized. Well, we don't have to, but we could. Let me throw this custom one on there, actually. I don't know why I did that when I want to edit it first. I go here, and I'll set this to C2. And I'm just going to set this to major pentatonic for now. Let's do the full range of velocity. That's fine. MIDI channel 10, we're going to turn off MPE so that we can set that custom MIDI channel. So now that is going to be sending on MIDI channel 10. So let's pick an instrument here, like this one. 10. Let's not do that instrument actually. Let's do something more of a lead. Great. That's on MIDI channel 10. And the drums, the lo-fi kit. I think this should already work properly. But the drums, as I put the drum overlay on, that's coming in on MIDI channel 1. All right, my point here is, now in Ableton Live, let's take those 3 instruments, right? We're gonna make a little looping setup here. Let's do this. We're going to arm all 3 of these tracks. Now that means when I tap the drums, even though 3 tracks are added, the only MIDI instrument being triggered is the drums. And then same when I go add the piano. Only the piano plays. Jump off of that. And now we're able to play that 3rd instrument, right? Okay, so what's the point of that? Well, let's create a looping performance. I'm going to create an empty 4-bar clip in each of these slots. Four bars. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just grab the keys pad. It can be any of the pads. And you notice that we have a little record button there. We can MIDI map that, which I already did, but I'm going to redo it again just to show you. Session record button, map that. And actually, I'm going to map one more thing. Let's map the play button as well. That play button's working. The only thing I wish I had was a stop button, but that's okay. We don't need that for these performance purposes. The last thing I'm going to add here is a new audio track. I don't need that actually. We have an audio track here. And why don't I find something rhythmic to add here? I'm wondering if the other day we have any, I don't think we have any. Yeah, we don't have any rhythmic samples. So let me quickly grab, I'm going to quickly grab a shaker sample. Shaker. This is all just for demo purposes, but I want you to see, not that. I want you to see how easily we can set up a looping performance. I'm just going to use this as a timekeeper. That's not the best timekeeper. I need something with a clear downbeat. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and all these other tracks, I'm just going to group them together and hide them so I am not distracted by them. And then what do you say we throw a little delay on here to give us an even better sense of time between beats? Okay. We're going to start with the piano. Oh, Duncan is streaming. Duncan, hey, wake up. Alright, so the whole point of this, I haven't started doing anything yet. But what do you say we were starting a performance, right? We'll start right now. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see what's going on here? Is since they are all on separate MIDI channels, we're able to assign each of the separate MIDI channels to a separate overlay. And then we can just do this, not add emojis, we can just do this seamless looping thing here. There's more mapping that can be done here as well. For instance, let's make sure I'm doing this right. Let's go on the master channel and let's add a performance rack. And let's add a simple filter. So now we've MIDI mapped this touch strip at the top, which now will work. So I believe we can map the bubble as well. I didn't try this, but let me see if this works. Map the bubble to the stop button. Why not? There we go. Now we have stop. We have stop and session record. Now I believe, I'm not 100%, let's double check this. If I swap here, okay, so different overlays, the play button and the record button will be universal. The bubble will not. So depending on where you are in your performance, you could map different things to different things, or you would always know, oh, if I want to control that filter, I need to be on the piano, or at a certain point, at the point in my performance where I'm playing the piano, I want to trigger this filter, so I'll map the one on this overlay to this. Oh, when I have this filter on, or this overlay on, I want to do the beat repeat. try this. See how this behaves. Bubble, I just hold it. That's even a better. Actually, let me experiment with doing the high pass fade by applying pressure. You guys see that? I don't know how to best show that, but this is like a little bubble. This button right here. If I apply pressure to it, it sends MIDI based on the pressure. Does the overlay stay in place? Okay, asks Sexy Bicycle. I think so. I haven't been disrupted in playing yet. Like, if I'm playing an MPE instrument... Let me turn off sound for a second. If I'm playing an MPE instrument and I'm sliding up and down, it's silicone, right? So you're going to see it shifting there in place. But not, I don't think in a destructive way. It's a little floaty in there. But it's not going to come out. If that makes sense, it's like in here there's a grooved edge along the side. So it's not going to come out or slide off during a performance. Like even if I push it like this, I have to push it pretty hard for it to pop out like that. So when it's laying there, I don't know, you would have to be doing something pretty intense to get it to pop out. So I think that there are some interesting possibilities, and that's what I look for in controllers in general. I mean, the utilitarian controllers that have pads, keys, and knobs, right? There's a dime a dozen of those, and that's fine. Those are very, very functional. But the types of controllers that open up more creative possibilities. I mean, this is the reason I got into controllerism in the first place. I'm just fascinated by all these different interfaces, all the different ways of interacting with music, with a physical device, and what creative result does that have? You know, if you pulled out an Akai and MPK Mini, does the music differ from now pulling out the Joué Play? Does the music you create, is it just different based on the tool that you're using? I think maybe yes. All right, what am I missing? Some questions here. Let me look at the chat. For a tactile surface, it's not a great fit. What? Is that a jog wheel on the right side above the logo, or am I tripping? A jog wheel on the right side. I don't know if you're looking at this little tab. No jog wheel. So guitar overlay convert, I think you definitely helped me, Dustin, assuage some of my fears. Is that a word? Who can say? Oh gosh. If I dial in some of those pro options, this is a terrible guitar sound. It's like a banjo. I think it's cool. You helped remind me that a different way of playing is fun, not always scary. Oh yeah, rip viewers. Anytime we pull out any guitar related thing, the viewers drop. They're afraid. They're afraid. I love the switch part on that tool. I think you mean the switching the overlays. Chat fears the strings, yes. All the people who showed up to buy a MIDI controller are like, wait, what? I have to learn how to play an instrument? They won't know until they receive their MIDI instrument. All right, what do we think of this? Joué Play, what do we think? Should we make some music now? How do the pads feel compared to something like an MPK Mini or a Launch Key? Well, Chirpy Turtle, the one thing to keep in mind is that this is an interface. I mean, this is an overlay that's like made of silicone, right? So it has a silicone feeling to it. I don't know how to best describe that verbally. It's got a silicone feeling to it, which means like it has some give, but it is otherwise very firm. So whereas something like an MPC pad, you're really going to bounce off it and it's going to have a bit more give. Getting a couple dropped notes in there, and I don't know if it's because of my playing, because it's a kind of a small pad for my fingers, right? So I'm trying as much as I can to get to the center, because the more we hit at the corners, the less likely it is to hit. Alex G says, I think the guitar thing is not useful. I think you're wrong. It wouldn't be my go-to overlay, but I don't think it's not useful. I didn't even mention the XY pads, which is, of course, can be mapped. There's another cool function. Hold on, let me do something. Let me like set up a filter or something. Auto filter. There's another cool function of the editor that I didn't show yet. Da-dee-da-da. So you notice when I'm trying to map the XY pad right now. You notice how that keeps switching? It's because there's two axes to map, right? There's the X and the Y. Now I could just try to finesse it and get it just right, which I think is what most people do. But there's an easier way to do it with the editor. But first of all, this is very fluid. This is very much how I want an XY pad to work. But what I was going to say is if you don't want to deal with that finessing, or you need to be just a little more accurate. Okay, chat. I see you moving. Holy cow, how are you going to come in here and ask me if I think FL Studio is worth the money? I don't use FL Studio. You've never seen me use FL Studio. We're talking about something completely different, and you want to jump in and ask me if I think it's worth the money. If this is your strategy for learning, music isn't for you. Creative practice isn't for you. You're not going to make it. I'm sorry. All right, what I was going to say is in this, we have a penalty box. We can put people in timeout if we need to. We have this editor, but if you take a look at this, you'll notice that you can isolate the axes from X, Y, and Z. So you could select just the X and map the X, just the Y and the Y. I think that's very useful because a lot of controllers, especially controllers with joysticks, some of you know what I'm talking about, are very difficult to map and make useful. But this editor helps that a lot. And we've got custom mapping options as well. I compose my music all in FL Studio. That's fantastic. I love that. Joseph McCaffrey also makes another point. It says people will come ask if something that thousands and thousands of people use is worth the money. Here's the thing. If something is worth the money, like if you want to pick up a Joué Play today with a single overlay for the low price of $145, thank you, Joué, for sponsoring this stream, and the link is in the description if you want to pick one up today at their lowest price point ever. If you want to pick one of these up today and you buy this MIDI controller, sure, everybody's going to pay the same price for it. Everybody's going to pay the lowest price ever, $145. But if that's worth it to you, is not the same thing that it is to me. That $145 investment is not worth the same thing to you that it is to me. It's worth something different to everybody. When Michael Jordan goes to the store and buys a basketball for $10, and you go to the store and buy a basketball for $10, that basketball is worth a lot more in his hands than it is in your hands. That $10 investment for him is worth a lot more than it is for you. So that is completely relative. And to Joseph McCaffrey's point about thousands of people using it, I think that's just a means of people procrastinating their creative endeavors. So I was sorry to snap at the chatter who asked that. But there is a social component there where you don't just walk into a party. You don't just walk into a party and say, hey, everybody, look at me. I have a question. Attention, everybody, stop what you're doing. I have a question. I want to say something. Notice me. I know it has nothing to do with what all you are talking about, but it's me. It's my question. You don't do that at a party. So we don't do that online either. And we do have to start treating that sort of behavior online the same way we would treat it offline, where it's like, yo, you need to chill. If you have friends that do this, if you have friends that act a certain way online, you should be calling them out. You shouldn't leave it just to me. And then the other thing is, to the point of 1,000 people use it, that's not actually your question. Your actual question is, am I really, if I buy this thing for whatever amount of money it's worth, am I going to get a return on that investment, or am I actually going to stay committed enough for it to be worth it? And the reality of that question is, there's only one person who can give the answer. There's only one person who can give the answer, and that person is you. If you buy a thing, if you buy the basketball at the store and you play basketball one time, it was probably, maybe to you, that was worth $10. It's not going to be worth the same thing that it's worth to somebody who goes and buys the basketball and plays the basketball every single day, even though you pay the same price. Deep Winter says, little harsh there, buddy. It's going to be okay, Deep, because I'm not just talking to the individual commenter, and I'm not just talking to you individually, though it does seem like you took that a little personally, and you should do some introspection as to why you're taking that a little personally. I'm willing to bet I hit a little bit of a nerve there. But when I talk like this, I'm not speaking to an individual person. I receive comments from hundreds of people every week. And I see lots of common things, common threads in people's comments. So I'm able to identify larger issues that affect people that are trying to, get into making music, get into being a creative person. So I want to address those whenever I get the chance. I'm not here to put somebody down. And like I said, you shouldn't feel put down by something I say. I'm going to give you tough love. If I didn't care about you and your study of music, your pursuit of creativity, etc., why would I make all these tutorials online for you to do it for free? Why wouldn't I go work at a university or sell my courses? Everybody needs a reality check, and in online learning, in like just being on social media, nobody gets that reality check, because you don't go to a place and learn from a mentor where a mentor can say to you, why are you doing that? Why are you asking that like that? Why are you acting like that? Some people don't have mentors like that, man. So people need that. People need the tough love. People need the mentorship. And if people come in with like that attitude and I give that reality check, that's not me saying you're not welcome here, get the hell out, or whatever. That's just me saying like, That's me saying like, hey, that's not how you're going to move forward. That's not how you're going to be the best that you can be. In a harsh way, but if everybody just tells you, oh yeah, I think it's worth it because blah, 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 and this person uses it, then you're just going to go on and ask the next person if they think it's worth it. And now you're becoming a news reporter. Reporting from Local 58, I'm here to find out, is FL Studio worth it? Let's go out on a Hollywood Boulevard and ask the people. And then we have Wicked Prophet. Hello, I'm a beginner. Do you think I can learn and make a song in a few weeks or months? I'm going to let you figure it out, Wicked Prophet. You can only learn from the truth. What does that even mean? That's like another means of procrastination. All right, Seal Sounds brings us back on topic and says, are the little Joué things to the left adapters? And yes, they are. These came with the Pro Pack. Well, double check. They might have just sent these to me. I'm not 100% sure if these come with the Pro Pack, so just double check the inventory list before you purchase. And I believe maybe there was one more adapter. Anyway, this is a USB-C to Lightning adapter so that I can connect the Joué to my phone. Like I mentioned before, you can run the app on your phone. And this here is a USB-C to a USB-A adapter for those that need that. If your computer, like maybe you have a computer that has a USB-A port, you can go USB-C to USB-A. So there's all the adapters. Wicked Prophet. Actually, based on your question, no, you personally cannot learn in a few weeks or months. Do you want to know how I know that? Because you are in my chat asking if you can make a song in a few weeks or months rather than watching one of my tutorials that's going to teach you how to make music in a few weeks or in a few months. That's how I know you personally can't. You personally in this moment cannot make a song in a few weeks or months. Now, you after this moment could make a song today, Wicked Prophet. You could make a song today. If you leave this chat and you don't spend any time writing on Reddit or writing in YouTube comments, and you spend all your time consuming tutorials and trying to make music. You could write a song and make a song today by doing that. Not only that, you could make a song today, but if you continue and you make a song in 1 month, that song that you make in 1 month will be 100 times better than the song that you make today. And if you continue, if you do this for a year and you follow my advice for a year, the song you make in 1 year versus the song you make today will be 1,000 times better than the song you make today. But here's the big problem, and this is where it comes down to you. You will only get there and you will only get better at it if you make that song today. So what are you going to do, Wicked Prophet? What are you going to do with the rest of your day today? Swayam brings us back on topic and says, I hope the company stays afloat with changeable overlays and possibilities are endless, specifically as DAW controllers. Yes, I hope so as well. I hope that they continue to develop. I mean, the overlays they have now are great. I remember another company that went out of business developed a creator overlay where you could essentially design your own overlay for a similar style controller. It would be cool to see that. It would be cool to see some features added to the app. I don't want them to make the app a full DAW, but I would like to see specific features added like MIDI and audio, a little more MIDI and a little more audio editing. Wicked Prophet is going to go make a song. That's what I like to hear. Shout out to you, Wicked Prophet. And Wicked Prophet, the next time I'm live, either Monday or Thursday, if you're able to, check in with the stream again and let us know how it went. And let us know if you have questions. I'm not trying to come at you hard, but I'm saying like, you got to start doing it, right? I'm glad you found the live. But go start doing it. Don't spend any time writing on forums, writing in Reddit, writing in comments, nothing. Watch the tutorials. They don't even have to be my tutorials, and just go for it. Make a song. Think about a song you really like and try to recreate that song. or your version of it. Chirpy Turtle says, I missed the beginning of the stream. Have you tested the MPE? Does it work well? It does work well. Let me go ahead and... That is the wrong thing. Where did the editor go? Oh, I X'd it out. Let's go ahead and throw that back on there. Let's edit this. Okay, let's turn MPE on. C major pentatonic is fine. Vibrato on is fine. Let's drop that. Oh, let's get aftertouch on. Drop that on there. And now let's load up that drift synth again. Yeah, so we've got slide. For this, I talked about this earlier as well, but I have been turning off a lot of the note bending stuff because of the type of interface this is. I think you need a specific use case for some of the bendy stuff. But I should be showing the controller. As you can see, if I just rest my finger here... Oh, actually, that's pretty good. But yeah, you'll be able to rewind the stream and watch back from the beginning because I changed some settings since then. But in the Pro app, we're able to shift the functions of the MPE stuff, the sensitivity of it all, etc. So you'll be able to rewind this after. But I think we're coming up at the end of the stream today, folks. I think we covered most of the new things about the Joué Play, unless anybody has any final questions. Do not forget that this controller here, they now have that new price. I know it's a pre-order too, so you're going to want to get in on that before it sells out because this is like an early bird pricing that they have. So if this controller calls to you, if it's calling to you, now is the time because they've got the Joué Play deal for $145, which is normally closer to $200. And then the next early bird price, it's going to go up by $20, and then the final price will be the full price, $195. So that's a $50 savings if you're going to pick that up today. I know they were very excited about that sale, and they wanted me to let you know, but this is exactly the kind of sale that I would be looking for if I were just starting out. So consider it. Who wants to buy $145 worth of my stuff? There you go. Get to Craigslist right now. TAETRO, guitar with strum section. Guitar with the strum section. See, this person is just like way more proficient at it than me. How am I supposed to compete with that? Oh, is the box a strum section? It is not. I don't want to say this for sure, but so first of all, no, it's not initially programmed like that. But I do wonder if you were using this as a MIDI instrument, if you could. There's lots of strum. I would have to think about that. I bet there's a way. But it's just another XY pad. So you can map it. I bet there is a way. I've recreated some strumming effects. This is not going to be my user library anymore. Yeah, like strummed chords. So let me just think about this for a second. There's no instrument there. Guitar. Yeah, I don't know what I did. I broke this. Oh, I unplugged the Joué. That would be a problem. Let me grab the piano overlay. The purpose of this device, the strum chords. Anyway, I'm getting lost in the sauce here. And this is like a homemade device that I was experimenting with, so please don't take it as a... Please don't take it as a final thing. Yeah, there's got to be a way. If you Google or search using an XY pad to make a strum effect, I bet somebody's done it. Somebody way smarter than me has for sure done it. But that would be a really interesting thing to do with the XY pad for sure. So you can set it to anything mappable. Correct. And Eric, we did that. You'll be able to rewind the stream and see some of what we did. But even, let me just grab it. Guitar overlay. Even with the guitar overlay, let me turn off this device because we don't really need it. Pop the instrument out. Anyway, just delete. So even with this XY, the easiest thing for me to do was add a filter. Because we can do the resonance and the filter frequency. Doggy, do you have an OP1? So, yes, to answer that question, Eric, mappable. Let me move this over so you can actually see that XY pad. Or the filter, I should say. Thanks, Juma, for hanging out. Eric says, what would happen if you put the overlay on backwards? Let's try it. I think it doesn't recognize it. I think you cannot actually put it on backwards. It seems. Probably comes down to that little reader. I'm having a lot of fun with the guitar overlay. Unfortunately. Sorry, not unfortunately. Now we can map this little bubble to space. This is kind of what I do when I first get a controller. It's like I try to just like do a bunch of weird stuff with it because I don't have any other controller that I can really do this sort of pressure sensitive effect with. And then the XY pad is really useful. So if I'm thinking about if I'm going to integrate this into a performance setup, I'm probably going to lean towards either I would probably lean towards either the keys overlay or the drum pad overlay. The keys overlay because I have a bunch of keyboard controllers. So I would probably opt for one of those. And I want this controller to do something unique. Obviously the guitar is the most unique. But from a playability standpoint, doing like a solo, having this be a standalone solo instrument that I can also map the bubble and map the touch strip to is a cool idea. And then similarly, a pad instrument, this could replace the pad instrument in the setup. This could be like the main drum instrument. And then the power of that XY pad and the bubble would be cool as well. Rotate the controller. Oh, so you're wondering about, like, yeah, you could put it upside down. You could put the controller upside down still. And that'll work. Doggy says, I'm not sure if it's a MIDI controller or what it's really doing. You should check out from the beginning because we did a full explanation and this is a whole 90-minute stream where we also touched on some life lessons as well. I hope you all enjoyed this stream. Final thoughts, final question, final questions. I would love to hear it. We're going to be live again on Monday. I want to thank Joué once again for sponsoring this stream. If you want to pick one up today, if they got the big sale running. Seal Sounds, I saw you ask how long is the sale running. I'm actually not 100% sure. So apologies on that. But it is their lowest price yet. Seal Sound says giveaway. Of course, when Beattober comes around, which Beattober is probably less than 60 days away. In the month of October, we do a ton of giveaways on this channel. We also do a big charity event every year. And we also do a ton of giveaways during that month. And I always reach out to all of my previous partners about supporting those efforts. So if there's any chance at a giveaway happening with a Joué Play, it would be in October. But they have not committed to anything, and I have not even asked them or approached them about it. So just putting that out there as a possibility. But it does seem like this pre-order is going to sell out pretty quick because the $145 price point is the lowest they've had, I think. And then it will go up in price, and then it will ship in October, I believe. So look out for that. Under the discount panel, it says it's valid until August 26th. So look at that. Looks like you've got about a month to make a decision. Hey, what's up, Joshy? So thank you all for hanging out. Thank you to Joué for sponsoring this stream. Link is in the description if you want to pick one up. MIDI CC and PC. You'll have to look that up. I don't have a PC to test it, but I assume, yes, it does work on PC. Most MIDI controllers do. MIDI CC, we already worked on mapping that and changing that in the editor. Thank you all for hanging out. I'm going to catch you all in the next one. We'll be live again on Monday. Don't miss it. We're working on a new album, Ghost Wave. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Joué Play. Thank you to Joué for sponsoring. And I'll see you all soon. Thanks for hanging out. If you're watching this later, leave a comment and say, hey, I watched this later and had a lot of fun. That is going to be it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.